Fantasy Football Factory Week 17 championship week for you, those of you in the season-long fantasy, the DFS players, a lot of different slates. We got a Christmas. We got a Thursday night game. We have 3 games on Saturday. We got the classic Sunday slate. We got a Sunday night game and Monday night game. But I am with the King of South, Mintzy. We got Moody. I am Stephen Cheah. We are, as always, brought to you by DraftKings. Football fans, if you want to up your game day experience, my partners at DraftKings have a brand new way to play daily fantasy with the Pick 6 app. All new customers who play just $5 are going to get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app. Now sign up using code FANTASY. It's super easy. Just pick at least 2 players and choose if they'll have more or less of a certain set, more or less than 1.5 passing touchdowns, more or less than 49.5 rushing yards, more or less than half interception thrown. Lock them in to compete against others for a shot at huge cash prizes. Again, download DraftKings Pick 6 app. Now use promo code FANTASY when you're doing so. Only the DraftKings Pick 6 app. The crown is yours. Fellas, it has been a crazy football Sunday. Obviously, I just mentioned it. The games are very spread out this week. My Bucks with a big choke job on Sunday night. Looking forward to seeing what happens. A lot of different playoff scenarios. You got the Karnacki guy on Football Night in America explaining everything. But fantasy-wise, how are we feeling going into championship week? I don't want to say championship Sunday just because there's so many games out. But how are you boys doing? Mintzy, I'll start with you.
Man, we're doing good. I just first of all want to wish happy holidays to everybody.
Yep.
This is obviously crazy. It's such a crazy week because obviously everybody has holiday, family, travel, all that. But the football don't sleep. The football is heated up. This is championship week, and then and in college football you got the playoffs. And so it's like ironic that it's the big holiday week, but it's actually like the most important week of the year in football. So we're all just managing it. But yeah, excited for a good slate. A little bit of a lighter Sunday slate, like you mentioned, because you've got 2 Christmas Day games. You got a Thursday night, you got 3 Saturday. So you got to do some digging here in the DFS for the Sunday slate. But that's exactly what we're here to do.
Yeah. Moody, how about you?
Well, I just want to say that I'm thankful for DFS this year because I had my worst standard fantasy season ever. This is the first year I'm not playing in a championship game, which breaks my heart. But DFS has been there for me, even though my team let me down this season, or I let my team down more than anything, I guess. Really, I made some bad draft picks that all got injured, but I'm thankful for DFS. I've had a ton of fun doing that this year. I've made a little bit of money here and there each week, had a couple big weeks, and had a lot of fun doing it. So I want to say thank you, boys, for bringing me on to do this, and I really am thankful for DFS, and it gives those of us that mess up their regular season with their standard teams a chance to win some money. So let's win some money this week.
This has honestly been way more fun than season-long fantasy, if I'm being honest. And I do love season-long fantasy. It's my first kind of foray into the fantasy world. But the DFS, every week, you get to reset your lineup. The PMT, I do it. Bayo League has been super fun to compete against you guys, compete against others, other Stoolies, and then obviously, Big Cat, PFT, Hank, Max, all those guys. So yeah, it's been super fun. To give everyone a little peek behind the curtain, we were all at different backdrops than typically normal, except Moody. We're taping this Christmas Eve morning, so we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna ignore kind of the early slates. We got Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Houston. Those are both on Christmas days. This is not gonna be out before then. Seattle, Chicago is the day after. We're gonna ignore that as well. The Saturday games we're not gonna touch either. So Chargers at Patriots, Denver at Bengals, Arizona Rams. I think those games have some fun potential, but we're going to just stick to the classic Sunday slate. So we got Jets at Bills. Bills 9.5 point favorites, 46.5 point total. We got the Colts at the Giants. Yuck. 40.5 is a point total. Indy favored by 8 on the road. We got the Panthers at my Bucks. Bucks favored by 8 at home, 49.5 point total. That is going to be the highest you're going to see on the Sunday slate. We got the Titans at the Jags, 48.5. We could see Mason Rudolph against Mac Jones, which, good Lord. We got Jacksonville favored by a point there. This game, not much better. Vegas at New Orleans, 39.5 point total. New Orleans favored by 1, likely starting.
How?
Yeah.
We're taping this off the Monday night. We'll call it a scrimmage. Or whatever that was on the field Monday night. First time the Saints have been shut out in 369 games. First team to be shut out in the NFL this entire season. It's just here's what it is. I mean, like I'll say, I'll not dwell on it, but no Derek Carr, Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara, Olave, or Shaheed. So you're pretty much trotting out what I would not call as an NFL team at this point.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. All right, we got Dallas going to Philly, 43.5 point total. The Eagles favored by 9. Miami still technically alive. 6.5 point favorites going to Cleveland. We do not know at time of taping who's going to start for Cleveland. 40.5 is the point total. Hopefully we can see some Jameis Winston. That would be very nice. Green Bay going to Minnesota, which is probably the game of the week. Minnesota 1.5 points favored, 48.5 point total. So we got 8 games on the classic Sunday slate. Atlanta, Washington Sunday night, and then Detroit, San Francisco is Monday night. We got 8 games to look at. Obviously, a more condensed slate. Are there any games specifically you guys are either targeting or even ruling out? Moody, I'll start with you.
One that I'm looking at is Green Bay and Minnesota. I know that Packer defense played really well last night against the Saints, but these two teams had a bit of a shootout the first time they played, and I think that could be brewing once again. It'll be indoors in Minnesota, so you won't have to worry about the cold weather, and I could just see Jordan Love getting it going a little bit there on the turf. And so I'm looking at that one, and then the Bucs and the Panthers. How could you deny Baker Mayfield against Carolina? I think that he's season on the line essentially too for Tampa Bay. So this is a must-win game for them. I think, but Baker's going to show up and play well, and you got to give Bryce Young a little bit of credit. The young man has played better football as of late. Yeah. I think there's a chance for that one to be a shootout as well.
Mincy, what about you? Is there any games you're either looking to target and play or avoiding?
Okay, well, the one thing I want to add, and I know everybody's talking about Carolina, Tampa, interesting storyline. I know you're all into this. Dave Canales, former Tampa OC, has done the Lord's work at Carolina here with Bryce Young. I mean, we're talking about Young got benched for Andy Dalton. I mean, looked like one of the biggest busts in NFL history, and he's come back from getting benched the last 6-8 weeks. He's played some excellent football, and they've got the running game going with Hubbard. And, man, I don't know. I think that this is an awesome storyline, and they're going to fight hard against Tampa. When you look at the over-unders like we like to, Green Bay, Minnesota, and Tampa, Carolina are both around 49. The rest of these are all significantly below that. So, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know those are probably the games to target here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I am going to, eliminate a few games off the bat. It's tough to completely eliminate Indianapolis Giants because Jonathan Taylor was incredible last week. I don't think he's going to necessarily duplicate that effort, but that's one I'm going to be very wary on. One thing I will point out, though, Malik Neighbors, he has 97 catches with 2 weeks left. The rookie record, which has stood for almost 12 months, is Puka Nacua, 105 catches. I think they're going to make a point to get him that record. So he's going to need 9 catches to break it over the final 2 weeks. Something to monitor. Tennessee, Jacksonville, Calvin Ridley revenge game, maybe Tony Pollard. This is going to be a tough game. Tennessee is decent against running backs, so Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, probably not ideal plays. Las Vegas, New Orleans. I don't know how you place one of this. Maybe Brock Bowers. He'll be top of the market tight end, but outside of that, this is going to be a tough game. But yeah, a lot of very ugly games. Even Jets, Bills, I guess there's some fantasy relevant guys in there, but 46.5 points. I track that. Josh Allen's going to be top of the market. He's a guy I'm certainly going to consider. Let's get into those prices now. So 8 games. 8 games. So 16 total quarterbacks that are going to be starting. We don't know at time of taping all of those who they're going to be. But I'll run down the list. We got Josh Allen top of the market, $8,500. He's the second most expensive guy after Saquon Barkley this week. Huge drop. Massive drop. $1,000 drop to a guy who may not play. Jalen Hurts, who has a concussion, $7,500. His status is to be determined at time of tape. We obviously saw Kenny Pickett come in, do some things, and was efficient for the most part. If Devonta Smith catches that ball, they win the game. Baker Mayfield, $6,900. Another big drop. Sam Darnold, $6,400. Jordan Love, $6,200. Another big drop, Tua, 5,800. Then we go down by hundreds after that with Aaron Rodgers, Bryce Young, Kenny Pickett, Cooper Rush, Spencer Rattler, Mac Jones. We can get all the way down. If Jake Haener is starting, he's $4,800. If DTR is starting, he's $4,800. Who do you guys like in the quarterback market? Mincy, I will start with you.
Man, look, I'm going value hunting here because I'm going to spend the money elsewhere. And I'm going Bryce Young, 5,600 here. I mean, I've just seen enough. Tampa, obviously you know more about their team than anyone, but like they have a great run defense. I think Tampa may have the best run defense, top 3 in the NFL. Nobody runs the ball against them. But their pass defense, they have the lack of pass rush and their coverage, their linebackers. I mean, Cooper Rush had a career high in yardage passing at halftime last week. Yeah. And Young's been hot. The Panthers have been scoring a lot of points. You got a high over under at $5,600. I think the price is right here. So that's what we're rolling with.
All right, Moody, who you got at quarterback?
Well, I'm on the other side of that game. I really like Baker in this one. I think, as we mentioned, Bucks back against the wall type situation. I think Baker rises to the occasion in moments like this. I think he's going to play well. So I like Baker. And then I also like Jordan Love. I've obviously been a big Packers supporter this season. I've rolled Jordan Love out there multiple times. I think indoors in Minnesota, he's a very viable play. And then one other person I would point out, and I think he's going to be starting for the Titans. It's Mason Rudolph against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's defense, also one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. So I'm more so targeting their defense rather than me thinking that Mason Rudolph is some elite play here. But you mentioned it, Calvin Ridley, revenge game. Cheah has been so good for me the last couple of weeks. I think he's going to continue to have a strong finish to the season. And then Westbrook-Ikhine has been good as well. So I think the weapons are there. My only concern is that they try and run the ball down Jacksonville's throat with Tony Pollard. So I'm probably going to go Jordan Love just to be a little bit contrarian because I think a lot of people are going to be on Baker Mayfield. So I'll probably go Love, but those are 3 guys that I'm debating between.
I think if you can, and you want to skimp a little bit in other spots where I think there are going to be areas too. I think Josh Allen's going to be the best play at 8,500, coming off kind of a downer game. He is still the odds-on favorite to win MVP, but I think with a big showing against the Jets in Week 17, with the potential of a lot of people sitting Week 18, I think that's one you can certainly look at. Jordan Love, his first game against the Packers, 389, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. That is a monster fantasy performance. So either him or Sam Darnold, I think, are decent options. I'm not going to go with Baker. The thumb worries me a little bit. He banged his thumb on a helmet on the last touchdown pass, which was like technically his last real pass thrown. He threw the shovel pass right after Rashad White. We didn't see him actually wind up and throw it. So I would monitor his practice stuff leading up to it if you're going to go Baker. But one guy I want to point out, and we don't know, we're taping this, it's Tuesday morning. If he is starting, Jameis Winston, $4,800 is an absolute steal. He's going to be chucking the ball against a Dolphins team that has been playing better. They're 6.5-point underdogs. Like, if you're the Browns and your entire thesis of moving to Dorian Thompson-Robinson was he's not going to turn the ball over. Well, he turned it over. So at least have some fun with it. With either DTR or Deshaun Watson, they're unwatchable. And I'm not saying Jameis Winston is going to lead you to much better end-of-game results, but it's going to be a much more fun game. It's going to be much more watchable for your fans. And that's not why you should make the decision. That's just why, as a fan who is not rooting for the team, I hope they make the decision. So if Jameis Winston is starting at $4,800, he's an absolute must-start.
They both have risk, but DTR has no reward. There's no you can watch it. Like, he has no chance of getting the football into the end zone. It was absolutely brutal to watch. At least with Jameis, there is some chance that they might score a touchdown. I just don't see any possible way DTR could win a football game or even throw a touchdown. I mean, it's brutal.
I wonder, what's Jerry Jeudy like here? I mean, if I were him, I'd just be like anarchy in the huddle. Like, you're bitching Jay, but like Judy's like almost leading the NFL in receiving when Winston's out there, and then like hopefully he catches a ball DTR is playing.
It's rough.
So the stats I gave last week held true. A team led by DTR has never scored more than 14 points. He did have a career high in passing, 157 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. So now his touchdown to interception ratio is 1 touchdown to 8 picks. That is horrible. He did run it 9 times for 49 yards, which, okay, you could say is a positive, but Outside of that, like, he's still turning the ball over. He's not good. Like, their leading receiver had 66 yards. Their leading wide receiver had 21 yards. It's bad. All right, let's go to the running back market. Saquon Barkley, the most expensive player in fantasy football this week, $8,600. He is dangerously close to breaking this rushing record. As a guy who had the bad Saquon Barkley take, I almost hope he does it because that would immortalize that bad take forever. But we will see where he finishes up. Dallas is the opponent. We also got Josh Jacobs, $8,100. Jonathan Taylor coming off a massive week, $7,900. Devon A-Chain, $7,700. We dipped down to Kamara, who I would guess is going to be out, $7,300. James Cook, $7,200. Chuba Hubbard, $7,000. Bucky Irving, $6,700. Tony Pollard, $6,400, and it goes down by hundreds pretty much after that. You can go all the way down to Devin Singletary, $4,200. Jalen Wright, $4,100. Emmanuel Wilson, $4,100 if you want. Mincy, who you got at the running back position?
I'm going first and I'm stealing your thunder, but I'm going with Bucky Irving here at 6,700. I actually think the factor you mentioned that Mayfield banged up his thumb, even more of a reason, but Carolina's had the worst run defense in the NFL all year. James Conner had over 100 yards in the first half last week. Tampa's going to run the crap out of the ball in this game. And then Bucky, man, they're getting him really impressed with how they're getting involved in the screen game last week, too. He's catching more balls out of the backfield. He's getting more comfortable with that because kind of at first you thought like Bucky's the runner and White's the guy catching the ball. But Bucky's also catching the ball well in the passing game now. So I think at 6,700, he's a total must start here.
Yeah. What do you got?
Well, I'll have Bucky in my lineup as well. I think just attacking that Carolina run defense is one of the best things you can do in DFS right now. I also like Tony Pollard at 6,400. I mentioned I want to attack that Jacksonville defense in some way. Whenever Tennessee plays, whenever they have a positive game script, Tony Pollard is the guy. When they get behind, Tajay Spears is a bit of a threat. I think there's a chance, a small, a 50-50 chance here that Tennessee could have a positive game script and Tony Pollard could be the workhorse in this game. So I like him at 6,400. And then I like Jonathan Taylor. He's coming off that huge week. The Giants' run defense sucks too. I actually don't love the running back market very much this week. So this is the one spot where I'm trying to find what I really like. And a little bit, I like Kendre Miller. I know he didn't do anything last night against the Packers, but that's Green Bay. Like I was all over that last night. Green Bay's defense is so good. I still don't think people realize how good that Green Bay defense is. So I'm not going to knock New Orleans too much because the Vegas defense is awful. So I think there's a chance that Kendre Miller could have a breakout game here. And he's someone that I'm looking for if I need to save some money.
Yeah. Okay.
In that same vein in that game, I'm looking at Madison at 5,600. The Saints defense is just miserable right now. And I kind of think that kind of the same thought as Moody. I mean, basically just saving money and I'm trying to spend it elsewhere.
Yeah. I do like Bucky Irving. He had a massive game against the Panthers last time, 125 rushing yards, 33 receiving yards. A couple things give me pause, and I think Bucky's going to have a very good game. He did have 25 carries that game and got a bit dinged up. Rachaad White is one that is interesting to me. I've also been the Rachaad White bandwagon all year. Hasn't been certainly as fruitful as I would have hoped, but he did have 11 carries for 76 yards in his first meeting against Carolina. And he's a guy who fumbled in overtime, and that they could look to give some confidence back. He's a guy they need. He's so much better in pass protection than Bucky Irving. It is crazy. And I realize Bucky Irving is much more elusive with the ball, a better runner. So I'm fully team Bucky on that. But as far as third down passing and being in on third downs, it's going to be Rachaad White. It's going to continue to be Rachaad White. I don't care that he fumbled on Sunday night against Dallas. One I am going to look at pretty closely is Aaron Jones going against his former team, the Packers. His first game against Green Bay. This was in Green Bay, so a bit of a homecoming. 22 carries, which you'll have to see. 93 yards on the ground, and then 4 catches for 46 in the air. He did not score. I would look for Aaron Jones to score this week in a game that could get pretty freaky. $6,200 is the play there. Let's move on to wide receivers. Top of the market, Justin Jefferson. $8,300. A.J. Brown, $7,800. Again, we don't know who's going to play at quarterback at this time of taping. Mike Evans, $7,500. CeeDee Lamb, $74. Devontae Adams, who's been very good lately, $7,100. Then we go to Tyreek Hill, $6,900. It goes down by hundreds after that. You can get all the way down to Tyler Boyd, $3,500 if you want. Moody, who you rolling with for the receivers?
Well, Mike Evans is going to be in my lineup here. You've alluded to it multiple times about him getting close to another 1,000-yard season. I think not only is Baker trying to get him that 1,000 yards, but they need Evans to be a big part of this game. He's one of the best receivers in the league. I mean, any way you cut it up, and I love talented guys on my roster. Give me Mike Evans at 7,500. And then another talented guy that I think could possibly lead the NFL in receiving yards if Saquon Barkley wasn't about to be breaking a record. It's A.J. Brown. When they decide they're going to get the ball to A.J. Brown, he is nearly unstoppable. They just throw it up to him, and he finds a way to catch it. I mean, he is insanely good. I love A.J. Brown against the Cowboys at $7,800. That is assuming that Jalen Hurts is playing. If Jalen Hurts doesn't play, that falls off my radar, but I love A.J. Brown against the Cowboys. And then another guy is Romeo Doubs. He's a dude that I've been riding a lot this season when he's been fully healthy. And in games like this, whenever Jordan Love needs to sling it around, Romeo Doubs has been the guy that benefits the most. And Christian Watson hurt his knee last night. I don't know if he's going to be good to go, but if he's not, that's going to boost Doubs further up my board. And at 5,100 in the highest point total of the week, I love Romeo Doubs against a not so good Vikings pass defense.
All right, Mincy, who do you got for receivers?
I think we're at a point where a guy that Cheah's been on all year, and props to you, because like I said, I there's always good, there's always bad. You're getting roasted for the Barkley thing, but there's been a lot of good. Your Brian Thomas thing has aged. I mean, I don't see how he's not a must-play every time at this point. At 6,800, he caught another 57-yard touchdown last week, had 132 yards. And a touchdown. He's playing at home against a bad Tennessee team. I'm rolling. I mean, he's just too hot, man. And also, he's just so explosive down the field. It seems like he catches a long one every game. So I'm rolling with him. On the cheaper side, I'm going with the Bryce Young, Adam Thielen stack at 5,700, going after this Tampa Bay bad pass defense that's been allowing a ton of yards all year. And then there's value everywhere. I looked at Dobbs for sure. But I've been between Mike Evans and Justin Jefferson on spending the money. And I think I'm going to go with Evans here. I love them both, though. Justin Jefferson, 8,300 is a ton. But, man, you know the stat on him? Cheah, 75 career games, 34 over 100. And, like, what's the old thing? Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. Yeah. This is a huge freaking game. I mean, this game in Minnesota, Minnesota with the win sets themselves up to play for the 1 seed against Detroit in the final game, but then Green Bay obviously would be happy to spoil here. Yep. But I don't know I think I'm going to go Evans instead of Jefferson just to save the 800, but I'm between those two.
Yeah, I think something interesting to point out, Justin Jefferson, home and away splits this year. Away, he is averaging 80 yards per game flat. At home, he is averaging 103.5 yards. So, 23.5 yard difference. He has not been below 73 yards this year. When you look at games against Green Bay, he has had 169, 184, and then 59 in his most recent home game against the Packers. But those are 3 home games against Green Bay. He has massive, massive potential. I mean, obviously, this guy's, top 5, top 3 receiver. In my opinion, he's the best receiver in the league.
And then the game he just had, look at the game he had Sunday in Seattle, too. 10 for 144, 2 touchdowns.
Right. One I would consider, though, if we're going receivers, Jordan Addison is $6,300.
Oh, yeah.
In the first game against Green Bay, he had 4 targets, 3 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. But this game has all these guys really. Jaden Reed in his first game against Minnesota this year, 8 targets, 7 catches, 139 yards, and a touchdown. But one guy I think that you should keep an eye on, he just scored. His first game against Minnesota, 13 targets. He only caught 5 of them. But Dontavian Wicks, 5 catches, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns in that end of September meeting. He's got $3,900. It's going to be hard to ignore, especially if Christian Watson's injury is going to keep him out. We do not know that at time of taping. But that is one certainly I'm going to keep an eye on. And then, sorry, Moody, you gave receivers already?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was on Brown, Evans, and Dobbs.
Right. Okay.
I want to mention your boy McMillan too.
I was just going to say that.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Jalen McMillan, $4,600. I think it's impossible to ignore his recent games. He is a guy who, in his first game of the year, caught a touchdown. He got injured, kind of fell behind as far as learning-wise. Playbook is, if what I'm hearing is correct, basically what I'm deciphering through what they've been saying in press conferences. But his past 3 games, 7 targets, 4 catches, 59 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Raiders. 6 targets, 5 catches, 75 yards, 1 touchdown against the Chargers. And then Sunday night, 7 targets, 5 catches, 57 yards, and a touchdown. Could have been a 100-yard game with 2 touchdowns if he holds onto that ball at the goal line. But Jalen McMillan is certainly a guy to watch. The Mike Evans play with the 1,000 yards, I am very confident he's going to hit 1,000 yards. For him to do it this week, I think it's going to be tough. He's 182 yards away. I'm not putting it past him. He's put up 200 spot against Carolina in week the second to last game of the season against Carolina before. He may very well do that. The Bucs are going to have to play out since they lost to Dallas. They're going to have to play out the next 2 weeks. They're not going to rest guys going against the Saints. So I'm confident he's going to hit that. I am skeptical he's going to do it this week. And I mean, the number's massive, 180 yards. It's going to be 100 yards over his total at least. So Jalen McMillan is certainly a guy I'm going to keep an eye on because Cade Otton is going to potentially be out. He missed this past week. Sterling Shepard's going to be out. So he's the very clear-cut number 2. There's not even really a number 3 I'm thinking about after him. So Evans and McMillan for receivers are going to get 80% of the yards probably. All right, let's move on to tight ends. Top of the market, Brock Bowers, $6,700. Giant drop to Jonnu Smith, $5,700. Another giant drop to David Njoku, $4,700. Then we go to TJ Hawkinson, $4,500. Dalton Kincaid, $4,300. Brenton Strange, $4,000. And then goes down by hundreds after that. You can get all the way down to like $2,700 if you want to pinch a couple pennies. Mintzy, who are you looking at for tight ends?
Trying to save money, and I went Tucker Kraft for $3,900. I just think that I know it's a basic thing because we keep ripping off names in Green Bay, Minnesota, but however, under in the dome, 49. Kraft's been a big part of that offense all year long. They use him in the red zone. He gets targets, and I think $3,900, the price is right.
Yep. Moody, who are you going with? I have a feeling I know who.
I'm going to be with my boy Big Chig, man. He has been killing it coming off what was basically a career week for him last week. 11 targets, 9 catches, 81 yards. Also had a 2-point conversion in that game. Mason Rudolph is looking his way. Will Levis was looking his way before he kind of lost the role there as well. But, Big Chig, dude, he's so good. Chig Okonkwo, he is so exciting to watch play the game. They use him in different ways. They line him up outside. Like, he's my favorite player, that's emerging right now in the NFL. Just a guy to watch. I'm really enjoying it. I think he's got a great future. I think Tennessee realizes that he's one of their best weapons right now. And I think they're going to continue to get him the football. At $3,600, if he can get me a semblance of what we had this past week, that's going to be very good value once again. I love Chig Okonkwo. And I do like Tucker Kraft as well. He's someone I was looking at. I may actually throw Kraft in my flex. But I like Okonkwo at $3,600 to be my guy at tight end.
Yeah, I think there's a couple guys you look at. I think monitor the injury reports because if Jameis is the starter, I think you got to play David Njoku at $4,700. He is his go-to guy. He was a leading receiver this past week, even with DTR with 66 yards receiving. Tucker Kraft, first game against Minnesota, 9 targets, 6 catches, 53 yards, and a touchdown, including a 21-yarder. He's certainly a good play there. Moody mentioned Cheah. He is a great option, $3,600. I think with DFS, a way to save money, pick 2 tight ends. Pick a tight end and then flex a tight end. I think that's certainly a good option because there are a lot of options here. One guy I'm going to point out, if you're looking to save money and pay attention to injury reports again, because if Cade Otton is ruled out, Payne Durham, $2,900. This past week, 7 targets. 5 catches, 29 yards. He dropped 1 too. That's not crazy production, but if you think about it, for $2,900, the guy's getting 7 targets. Sign me up for that every week. That is a value guy where if you need to skimp and you want to, spend on Justin Jefferson or Saquon or Josh Allen, that is a guy who can help you do it. So Payne Durham, take a look out for him. And then I'd also monitor Jatavian Sanders, $2,800 going against the Bucs. The Bucs cannot cover tight ends in the middle of the field. All right, let's move on to defense, special teams. Buffalo, top of the market, $3,600 going against the Jets. Colts playing the very turnover-prone Giants, $3,500. The Bucs going against the Panthers, $34. It goes down by hundreds after that. You can go all the way down to the Jets going against the Bills, $2,100 if you need to pinch some pennies. Mincy, where are you looking defense?
Trying to do the old save money bargain basement hunt, and I'm going with Cleveland against Miami with 2,400. Miami up in the cold weather. Maybe Tua kind of struggles with that, and there could be some turnovers.
I like that. Moody, who are you going with?
I'm on the complete opposite side of that. Give me the Miami Dolphins against Cleveland. I don't really care who's starting. Obviously, if Jameis starts, I will reconsider it if Jameis starts. But if DTR starts, I'm going to have Miami in my lineup. I will make room for Miami in my lineup if DTR starts. At 3,200. I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We've been bagging on DTR, and rightfully so from a fantasy perspective. I think the Dolphins could have a big turnover game if DTR makes the start.
I think if you have the money, I think Indy is a spin this week. I was kind of doubting Atlanta last week going against Drew Lock, but there were so many balls to be had. They scored 2 defensive touchdowns. They're $3,500. If you can, I would spend the money in there. If you're looking cheaper, I do think Miami is a good option no matter who's starting. Monitor Philadelphia's quarterback situation. If Kenny Pickett is starting, I don't think Dallas is a bad play at all at $2,500, just because I think that'll be a much lower scoring game. They have been playing well lately. All right, so those are the positions. Let's go with plant your flag guy of the week. This is one guy who's going to be in our lineup no matter what. Mincy, who you got this week?
I'm on this Brian Thomas train. I've seen enough. The dude's too hot. And Mac Jones looks for him a ton. He gets tons of targets. Tennessee's pass D stinks. Tennessee's awful. 6,800, we're in. I mean, that's what it is.
All right, I like that. Moody, who you got?
Honestly, if it's DTR, it's the Miami Dolphins defense. I'm not joking. I will plant my flag that they have a big week, but I'll go the opposite way. I'll go with Romeo Doubs. I just think indoors on turf, Doubs is going to be the guy that really steps up. And you got to give LaFleur credit, man. He is so creative with this offense. They're fun to watch, and I think he's going to have to be creative this week. And I just think Doubs is going to be the guy that stepped up. He has 4 pop-off games this year where he put up basically 20 points. And I think this is setting up for a good week for Romeo Doubs. So I like Doubs at 5,100. He is my plant your flag play of the week.
I am going bargain shopping this week, and the guy I like is a running back. It is Tajay Spears, $5,400. He scored 3 touchdowns in his past 2 weeks. He had 10 carries last week, and this is potentially an ugly game with Tennessee going against Jacksonville. In his past 2 weeks, he's had 11 targets, 9 catches. He's averaging 79 total yards a game and 1.5 passing touchdowns in a running back market that I think, we've all kind of said we don't love this week. I think, everyone's going to be on Bucky Irving. Aaron Jones, I think, is certainly a worthwhile play. Rachaad White maybe in a bounce back spot. But there's not a lot of love. Saquon, obviously, top of the market, $8,600. But if you're looking to save a little bit of money, I think Tajay Spears is hot right now. Give me Tajay Spears against a bad Jacksonville team, $5,400. Tony Pollard is already over the 1,000-yard mark. They're not playing for anything. I think Tajay Spears is absolutely a play at $5,400 for me. He's my plant your flag guy of the week.
Yeah, Pollard's been a little banged up the last few weeks. You've seen Spears' role has increased a lot. Pollard was getting all the carries for a while, and now it feels like it's more of a 60-40 kind of thing even.
So I had been paying an embarrassing amount of attention to this early in the season. I was watching all of Nick Holtz's, their offensive coordinator's press conferences, because I was a big Spears backer early in the year. And he got hurt, I think it was week 1, and just hadn't really been the same. I believe he had a concussion. You see him wearing the Guardian cap now. And then he just had a couple nagging injuries. But they had said that they want to make this like kind of a 50-50 split. If we get anywhere close to that, Tajay Spears at $5,400 against a bad Jacksonville team is certainly worth your investment. So Tajay Spears is my guy.
Don't tell that to Titan fans. They seem to hate this split. I was reading some of them on Twitter. They just want one of the two to be the guy. And I don't know. I think Titan fans are being a little unreasonable there because they're both talented dudes. And we've seen Pollard have some big games as well.
They're both pretty similar skill set too, because Tony Pollard can catch the ball. He played, receiver in college for a little bit. So I And Spears, obviously, his specialty is catching the ball, but he does, run. He's a smaller guy. Tony Pollard isn't a big guy by any means either. But, they are duplicative. Usually you're going to see like a thunder and lightning. This is just kind of like lightning and lightning. So, all right, this has been Fantasy Football Factory for week 17. For the King of the South, Mintzy, for Moody, I am Stephen Cheah. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody celebrating. Enjoy all the football. We got Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. So just Friday is our only non-football day. Holy cow. Enjoy all that. And hopefully see you this weekend in the Winner's Circle. Please remember to sign up for the Pardon My Take AWL DFS League. We will all be playing in there. So see if you can beat us there. Have a good holiday, guys.